From this moment on, we will accompany you into the heart of the floating city. You can stay in an air-conditioned room and comfortably wander with us through the essence of Venice. If you truly come to the floating city, just open the map guide on your phone, and it will guide you to explore every classic and hidden corner of this City of Canals. The most exciting highlights are condensed in the following clips. Please remember, don't just keep these few minutes for yourself. Good things should be shared with good friends to enjoy together. Day 2. This is our first full day in Venice. We plan to visit some of the main attractions on Venice's main island.
Venice, often called the City of Bridges, is home to around 400 bridges,
among which there is one everyone wants to see. That is the Rialto Bridge. There are 4 bridges on the Grand Canal of Venice. The Rialto Bridge is the most complex in design and the most difficult in engineering. It is also the oldest bridge built. This bridge is very popular among people. Even though we arrived here around 9 a.m., the bridge was often already crowded with people. From the Rialto Bridge, we can pause to watch many different boats shuttling back and forth on the Grand Canal. It truly never ceases flowing. From afar came the siren of a fireboat. The historic center of Venice is, of course, completely car-free. This includes all kinds of emergency services, which must be replaced by speedboats on the water.
Over here, we will see
what happens when emergency teams need to reach somewhere in Venice quickly. If we are standing on the steps by the canal, once we hear this kind of siren,
unless you don't mind being splashed,
it's best to move away immediately. Not far from here is the lively Rialto Market. If we have the chance to cook ourselves in Venice, or simply want to experience the lively atmosphere of a traditional Italian market, then this is a good place to come. Here there are fresh seafood, all kinds of fruits and vegetables, herbs and seasonings. Everything is available. Of course, it's best to arrive here early, otherwise you'll encounter the crowd. From here we head to an old bookstore. According to Google Maps' estimate, it takes about 12 minutes on foot, but because of the crowds everywhere in Venice, it's best to double Google's walking time estimate, that is, multiply it by 2. Also, when we use GPS navigation, in narrow alleys, flanked by tall buildings, our GPS occasionally gets lost. At such times, it's best to find an open square, confirm the direction of our next destination, then continue walking. Also, at intersections of streets, it's also a good spot to search for GPS signals. In fact, getting lost sometimes may lead us to another small canal bridge or beautiful square, adding many unexpected surprises to our journey. It was during one of these times of getting lost that we stumbled upon this unusual bookstore, Libreria Acqua Alta, high water bookstore. Hidden gems are scattered throughout the city. Venice is like a jewelry box. As long as we stroll freely with ease, we can easily come across unexpected surprises. The reason this bookstore is so special is that they put mountains of new and old books, stacked in bathtubs, barrels, rowing boats,
and even in the cabin of a gondola.
They hope in this way to protect the many books from being damaged by floods. Here, besides browsing large numbers of books, we can also climb stairs completely made of stacked books, or sit in a gondola tied behind the shop, enjoying the waterfront scenery and the fragrance of books. Our next stop is the flooded crypt of San Zaccaria Church. Google Maps estimates a 7-minute walk, but according to Venice's timing, it takes about 14 minutes on foot. This Gothic and Renaissance-style church enshrines Saint Zaccaria, who is the father of Saint John the Baptist. This beautiful church can be visited for free, while its crypt, flooded all year round, can be entered for just €3. The crypt that holds the remains of 7 saints, due to ground subsidence, was permanently submerged by canal water. We entered following the direction signs at the entrance, walking along brick paths protruding from the water. Here you can see tombs, arched columns and rustic ceilings, all reflected in the still water. During our visit here, we will find ourselves completely alone in the crypt, surrounded by complete silence, only occasionally broken by water drops, dripping from the ceiling onto the water surface. This atmosphere is inevitably a bit eerie, yet it adds a sense of adventure to our journey. Next,
we head to a tour that must be booked in advance before departure.
That is the Doge's Palace. Secret Itineraries tour. From the 8th century to the 18th century, the Doge, or Duke, was the highest executive of the Republic of Venice. In these 1,000 passing years,
the Republic of Venice had a total of 120 Doges in power.
At that time, this palace became the residence of the Doge, as well as their administrative office to rule Venice. During this tour visit, we will learn some history of the Doge's palace, and see the lavish decorations inside this building. We can also see various exhibition spaces, such as the armory with cold weapons, the attic, the torture chamber, and the cell that once held the famous lover Casanova, listening to various legendary stories, such as the legendary story of Casanova's imprisonment and escape. These legendary tales, told by the guide, may be the most fascinating highlights of the trip. The tour lasts 1 hour, 15 minutes. It runs only a few times daily in Italian, English, or French, so it is strongly recommended to book in advance. To avoid missing this tour, that is definitely worth it. Even if we cannot book a language we understand, following the guide through this tour is still worth it for a glimpse. After the guided tour ends, we can freely explore the rest of the Doge's palace. At this time, we can go at our own pace and explore the other exhibitions inside, as we again walk through the impressive interior. The power and wealth once owned by the Republic of Venice will once again amaze us. A reminder: during the free exploration, do not miss the chance to walk through the cells, or cross the Bridge of Sighs. The Bridge of Sighs connects the court of the Doge's palace to the prison. It is said that the bridge's name comes from the convicted prisoners, after they were sentenced in court, before being taken into the dark prison cells. These criminals, while crossing the Bridge of Sighs, and, through the barred windows, took one last look at the world of freedom outside, and could not help but let out a deep sigh. Thus the bridge gained the name Bridge of Sighs. If we do not enter the Doge's palace, we can still see the Bridge of Sighs from outside. Here is a suggestion: we should allow at least 2 hours to explore the palace interior. With the palace's judiciary section, plus the secret tour, it really is a worthwhile half-day trip. Next is the famous St. Mark's Basilica. Inside this basilica, photography or video recording is prohibited by rule, but undeniably, during this journey, we will see people taking pictures or filming, mainly because the sights inside the church are truly breathtaking. So, the common violation is understandable. The walls are covered with huge mosaics made of pure gold, earning the basilica the nickname Golden Church. If we want a convenient visit to St. Mark's Basilica, we can book skip the line tickets on the website. We can choose to only visit the ground floor of the basilica, or additionally book extra facilities, such as the museum. If we do not book skip the line tickets, we will surely face long queues. Therefore, any early arrangements for all European sightseeing spots are necessary before departure. If we do not want to enter the basilica, we can also book skip the line tickets to visit the bell tower, or join another long queue to climb the Campanile in front of the basilica, taking the elevator to the top of the 98.6-meter tower. We can overlook the magnificent scenery around Venice and the lagoon view. If we are interested, we can visit this website to see the views from the top of the Campanile, visible all around. Day 3, Island Trip. We planned for the islands near Venice main island, a one-day itinerary to the lagoon islands. The islands near Venice include Burano, Torcello, Mazzorbo, and Burano, 4 most famous outlying islands. For visitors to Venice, this is a very popular travel route. If you'd like to know how to explore the lagoon islands at your own pace, please keep watching for more details. We'll first take the water bus, Vaporetto, to Burano Island. The Vaporetto is basically a public bus that runs on water. This transport system is an excellent option for exploring Venice. If we don't want to walk, or pay the high fares of a water taxi, and are on a budget, then the Vaporetto is the best choice for traveling between the islands. In the practical information section later in this video, we'll explain more details about using the Vaporetto. To get from Venice's main island to Burano, we depart from the Fondamenta Nove Standa Pier and take line 12 to Burano. Although the ride takes 45 minutes, it's a very pleasant journey. As long as we catch a boat before 9, we can avoid the crowds and enjoy a peaceful trip across the lagoon. There will be plenty of space and seats on board. We can also stand by the railing and admire the views along the shore. Some water buses have seats at the front or back of the boat, so passengers can take photos or enjoy the scenery. The views at the bow and stern each have their charm. If the boat isn't crowded, try both spots. Burano Island is famous for its brightly colored houses. Pink, blue, green, yellow. Strolling through these rainbow streets instantly fills us with joy. Legend has it that these colorful houses were painted to help fishermen find their way home on foggy days or in the dark of night. That's why they are so vibrant. Among all these houses, the most famous and unique one is Bepi's house. Unlike the other homes painted in a single color, Bepi's house is covered with bright geometric patterns. It's the most distinctive of all the rainbow houses. Burano is also world-renowned for producing exquisite Venetian lace. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit the Lace Museum on the island, or purchase intricate lacework from one of the small shops. Here's a tip. Be sure to visit this particular shop. We've written its name on the screen now, because in the back of the store, they have a small, but very charming exhibition room. It displays works that are centuries old, for free. Perhaps due to a lack of publicity, or simply because people don't know it exists. When we visited during this time of day, we were often the only ones there. After leaving here, we can head to the island's main square. Once there, several sites are worth a look. A 6th century Istrian well, a statue of the local composer Galuppi, and Burano's very own Leaning Bell Tower. Burano is a small island, so exploring the whole place only takes about 1 to 2 hours. That's enough to see its main attractions. When we arrived at 9:30 a.m., the island was very quiet at that hour. By lunchtime, some parts of Burano get quite busy, but it doesn't take much effort to find quieter spots that are equally beautiful. After several visits, we discovered that crossing the long pedestrian bridge from Burano leads you to the neighboring island of Mazzorbo. After the bridge, you'll pass through a sleepy vineyard and arrive at Trattoria alla Maddalena, a seafood restaurant. It's a place we highly recommend. But here's an important reminder. Before your trip, be sure to make a reservation in advance. Because this restaurant is strongly recommended on various travel websites and has received widespread positive reviews, mainly for its reasonable prices, high quality, and locally sourced seafood dishes. If we don't make a reservation in advance, we surely won't be able to dine here. Of course, if we haven't booked ahead, we can also use Google Maps to find another option. For example, another restaurant on Burano, Osteria al Fureghin, although it wasn't our first choice, its clam pasta and grilled fish platter are definitely worth trying. The service here is friendly, and the waiter told me that their delicious Prosecco is specially produced for the restaurant we mentioned earlier. So, all in all, it turned out to be a great spontaneous lunch choice. After lunch, departing from Burano, we take a Vaporetto to the peaceful island of Torcello. It's not far, just about 10 minutes away. After arriving, we walk along a small canal until we reach a small square. On the way, don't miss the chance to step onto the Devil's Bridge. At the square, you'll find the Byzantine-style church of Santa Fosca and the Cathedral of Santa Maria Assunta, the oldest building in the Venetian lagoon. For just €5, you can enter this 7th century cathedral and admire its Byzantine mosaics. Or, you can buy a separate ticket to climb the bell tower outside the church. Unlike the Campanile in St. Mark's Square, this tower doesn't have an elevator to the top, but most of the climb is via ramps rather than stairs, so it's actually not too strenuous. From the top, the view of the fields and surrounding waters is absolutely worth it. If you quietly stand at the window ledge at the top, feeling the breeze and taking in the scenery, you'll truly feel a sense of inner peace. After visiting Torcello, we take a Vaporetto by now, quite crowded, to Burano. This island is famous for its centuries-old glassmaking tradition. Here, we can visit glass workshops and watch live glass-blowing demonstrations. It's glassmaking up close. Of course, if we're not interested in buying glassware, we can simply stroll along the canals, passing by a few shops, and admire the beautiful glass artworks before catching the Vaporetto back to the city. This brings our journey to a close. I believe you've already felt the unique charm of the City of Water. But don't worry, if you'd like to hear more hidden stories and visit the most romantic spots, they'll all be featured in the next episode. Curious about where we'll go on our 4th day of this journey? Or what things you should watch out for when visiting Venice? We'll share all of this in the next part of our Venice travel guide. See you then, my dearest travel companion.
Thank you for joining us on this journey with Lone Wolf.
Arrivederci alla prossima, mio caro compagno di viaggio.